welcome back to the last ever time we're streaming together. You beat the BBEG, you beat the Stone Thief, you made some friends, you made some enemies, you collected all the chromatic wizards. That was a secret subplot. And here we are, the 14th Age. The 13th Age didn't end super well because, I mean, it's not a new age unless a calamity happens. It's not your fault. Don't feel bad. We're going to talk about you guys as icons in the 14th Age. We're going to do a bit of world building, kind of a reverse Book of Ages. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's go around. This will probably be a slow introduction. Rumham, who are you? Who are you playing? And what are you as an icon?
Okay, I'm Rumham. I play Kalia, the cleric soldier. And as an icon, Kalia is known as the champion.
Okay. And just, we're going to go over, everyone's initial drafts of what they are as icons. Well, feel free to change as you hear everyone else's and tack on. And then we'll talk about the world. You'll probably change some more. And then hopefully we'll have some final write-ups about icons. Ellen?
Hi, I'm Ellen. I play Dame Kiri Jadespine, and she is the Dame.
What a good icon name.
Thank you.
How long do you think about that one?
In terms of it being an icon name, less than a second.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It was just there. It was so obvious. I mean, really, she was born to have that moniker.
Rob?
Yeah, my name is Rob, and I didn't do my homework. And
That's okay.
No, I'm playing Core, and Core, it's kind of a long con, I think. I think that Core's dad was probably related to the ogre mages that killed the Grandmaster of Flowers, and the secret family plan has been to restart the Grandmaster of Flowers. So Core is not actually going to be an icon. Core is going to be the person who teaches an icon, and a restored icon, essentially. And I say that Core's family have been working for the Prince of Shadows, and what's really happening is that Core's family take out the Prince of Shadows.
Oh man.
And that the ogre mage and the Rakshasa and Core together are they're not the three, but they're more shadowy than that. People don't even really manage to figure it out for a long time that the Prince of Shadows isn't around. So that's what I said.
So I had written down the Grandmaster of Flowers as a restored icon, but now you're telling me that the Prince of Shadows is gone and you've replaced him with a new faction?
Yeah. How you like them apples?
All right, you showed up with 0 icons and walked out 1 minute later with 2.
Welcome to my life.
Rob, you get 1.
All right. Cool. Good. Grandmaster of Flowers.
All right.
Looks like Mom and Dad ran aground on the old Prince of Shadows trick.
They thought it was the Prince of Shadows, and then he peeled his face, and it was actually them.
Well, it's like Inception. Somewhere they're very happy, and the top is still spinning.
Yeah.
They thought they got the Prince of Shadows. They got the princess. It happens.
Yeah, that's right. Whoops.
Dang
it, wrong age.
Darn. Pow.
How's it going? And Leanne is now the stalwart keeper. And I'll go into details after.
Okay. And then Max.
I'm Max. I play Lucian, and Lucian became the Bright Prince, the new
You are a bit quiet all of a sudden.
How about now?
That's much better.
There you go.
Oh, do I need to repeat anything?
Nope.
Are we good?
You're good.
Did you say that you're a hunter, a ranger?
Did you say that your
No.
last name is Hunter?
No, I did not.
That's
Guilt
the
me.
forbidden knowledge of the
Yeah.
Bright Prince.
Enemies,
Always
those who
thought
know
as long as
him.
nobody mentions.
All right, and I have produced a write-up for one of our players who, isn't playing with us anymore. The Lizard King, Raza.
Good old Raza.
Good old Raza. And a lizard from a sci-fi realm teleported here with a magic talking soulbound axe destined to destroy the Stone Thief, who himself fell in the Stone Thief and then was reborn as a half-dragon. So isn't that cool? Well, let's talk about who we are as icons. Is anyone really excited to go first? All
I'm
right.
just excited to hear about everyone. It's like,
Fate says Rumham is first.
Oh wow. Okay. So I picked the name champion because the word champion has two definitions. One is like a person who has, surpassed all rivals and come out on top, but also a person who fights for a cause fights for a cause themselves or on behalf of someone else. And I think this quote kind of sums up Kalia as an icon. I wasn't born to be the champion. I fought to be the champion. With a little grit, determination, and some delusional self-confidence, you can be one too. As an icon, she's known for her determination to protect others, and is also has risen to power in what was left of the Crusader. Some people, say that she was the one to kill the Crusader. Others say that the Crusader was no longer able to stay relevant because everybody thought that she was better. But really, Kalia is the only person who knows what really happened. She usually hangs out in the city of Oasis, but is also known to move about freely as she pleases when she wants to get something to eat or drink. Maybe she pops on over to Santa Cora, or gets a little bit bored and goes to kick some butt in the gladiator rinks in Axis. But Oasis is perfect because she can keep an eye on the Abyss and the Necropolis while staying close to her strongest ally, the Stalwart Keeper. She acts as a rehabilitator for the people of Oasis. As for adventurers and their connection to her, the champion doesn't really discriminate. She has been known to give her blessing even to the lowest of criminals, and has named champions from every race, background, and class, even when other icons cast those people aside. It doesn't matter what they've done in the past or what they're currently doing, as long as whoever wants to follow the champion, it matters what they do in the future. She can be seen as a forgiving icon, but is also known to force feed those hard to swallow lessons with an iron fist, and is known to actively punish and push people in directions that they might not want to go into because she knows it's good for them. People who are chosen by the champion, some of them could be strong, fearless adventurers. Others could be, timid or unsure of themselves. but the champion aims to take whatever that adventurer's best quality is and build them up off of those. So the champion's followers are diverse in skill set, from rogues, fighters, healers, bards. Everyone is welcome. And in the pursuit of pushing her followers to do their best and to pave their own road, that may also mean that followers leave her. And she is okay with that. But those who leave the champion on good terms to follow their, path somewhere else are also known to still receive her blessing in some small ways. Though those who take her blessing for granted or who use it for not so good things are going to pay the price. She holds grudges, and those who scorn her will probably not live to tell the tale. As for allies, the champion isn't really picky and thinks that squabbles between the other icons are funny and kind of just watches them as entertainment. But in particular, icons that she has a close fondness for, the Stalwart Keeper. Anybody who follows the Stalwart Keeper can pretty much guarantee that they have the champion's blessing. Similarly, the Dame's followers as well are granted gifts and are highly respected by the champion. And those who follow the Bright Prince are welcome and tolerated, but the champion herself may personally view some of the prince's more devout followers as a bit pompous.
Yeah, what is your relationship with religion?
She is not a religious icon and doesn't really require her followers to follow any specific religion. She's more of an icon that advocates for personal growth rather than hindrance to a certain rule set or belief.
And what's your true danger?
The true danger, as long as the champion is able to quell the rushing tide of demons left in the wake of the worm's passing, all will be well.
Hey, I think we're going to return a bit to what happened, that the abyss is sealed back up. I think that will tie in well with your true danger and role. But for now, let's go around. Ellen, what's a question you have for the champion, and or a suggestion or piece of feedback?
I guess I'm a little unsure. On what does Callia's day-to-day look like? At this point, is she basically still running around, like, adventuring on her own terms?
Yeah. She probably does still do adventuring stuff, and I mean, she, is out there also making sure that her followers are doing good. So I'd say it's probably like half protecting, actively still protecting, and half like babysitting and making sure, like watching from some scrying portal with like a big bucket of popcorn and a beer, making sure that everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing, or else someone's gonna get a little shock of lightning, or they're gonna get picked up and thrown into a different town or something like that.
Okay.
Rob.
Yeah, I think that core part of the Grandmaster of Flowers tradition.
All right, let me clarify. You're asking a question and or giving some feedback to Callia.
I'm sorry, my brain is
That's okay.
scrambled.
I just wanted to stop you
Callia,
before you got really into it.
I loved the fact that you are like here for everybody and kind of like saying that whoever wants to be a champion can come and join you. And the weird part about it is my question is this: it seems like you really get along with a bunch of other people who are your adventurers. with. Like, you know, and that the Stalwart Keeper and the Dame and you are all like almost a team. How do you think that plays out in the long term in the world? Do you think that really shifts the power dynamic? Like in terms of like, look, there's a dragon empire and the emperor is really important. Doesn't it almost feel a little bit like when you've got 3 or 4 icons who are like strong like this together, does that shift things? And if it did, isn't the champion kind of in front?
I mean, I think it does definitely shift things. I think, you know, a little bit of a metagaming here, but because we're the players, I think we're automatically trying, like, our icons as players are going to be kind of more important than everybody else. But that's like a little metagaming. But I think, like, for Kalia, it's more like she doesn't care what anybody else does, as long as whatever they're doing is not actively causing harm to someone else. So if the Emperor is doing his thing and he's got a big dragon empire that he like controls or whatever, she's totally cool with that. Doesn't care. If the Druid is doing his Druid thing off in the forest and they have their own beliefs and whatever, like, it does, like, she doesn't necessarily put herself above anybody else. She is kind of sees herself more as like an enforcer, like that, to keep everybody in line.
So if anything like that happened, it would almost be an accident of, as you said, people like noticing that Kalia was way cooler than the Crusader, or what was left of the Crusader. It would sort of be like that exact same, like, oh, well, this is sort of just the facts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like the Crusader, like, technically was allied with the Empire, and so too is Kalia, technically allied, but really just she shows up when she feels like.
Yeah, and I mean, if someone asks her to come over, she'll probably be like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it. I'm not happy about it, but I'll do it. But I mean, like, the only time where she would, like, you know, probably put her foot down and act out of turn of someone else is if someone, say, the Druid King, was actively plotting against her.
Druid?
Or
Hang on.
Druid King!
The Druid King!
Sorry, the High Druid was actively, like, you know, doing something to spite her directly or someone that she is closely allied to. I'd say really that those would be the only instances where Kalia would be like, okay, I really got to go kick some ass. Otherwise, I'd say she's like not necessarily an antagonistic icon, or like an icon that is out there like fighting all the time.
I have one more question, because it's kind of about like the adventurers you inspire most. It felt to me like that Kalia was doing things I'd never seen before with that giant shield. Is that like what the people who are really following you do? Like, they have the giant shield and the magic that you like helped inspire? Is that the thing, or is it more diverse than that?
It's more diverse than that, because Kalia didn't always have magic. At one point in the campaign, she literally just had her shield. She lost her cleric powers, and she only had her shield. So for Kalia, it's more of the mindset and the what's the word? Like the this person can do anything. Let me help them, you know, kind of thing. Like, let me help them do what they want to do. So if maybe that person ends up, you know, they're lost in life and they end up taking up, you know, the cleric powers, cleric magic, and a shield. If that's what they want to do, if they want to follow in that path, Kalia will help them. If they want to be a healer and use their, you know, maybe they had cleric magic and they were at one point, you know, allied to a dark god, and they used their healing magic to, you know, raise the dead or something. If they have decided that that is not what they want to do, or are actively like trying to fix that, then Kalia will say, yes, I will, you know, I will help you, and you can use your magic, even though it's, you know, technically maybe it's necrotic magic or whatever, you can still use that for a good cause. So yeah, it's not really like everybody has to have AC 30 and a shield taller than they are. It's more
Okay.
about
What's the point?
the grind set.
The grind set?
Yeah.
God.
All right, Pal, I know you helped with this write-up. Do you have anything you want to add?
I've got two questions. One, does the champion pay rent? Because I imagine she's just bunking in the Oasis.
Oh, the champion is a notorious mooch, and is known to even sometimes ask her followers for help when she gets in a little
God.
trouble.
Rockstar.
Yeah, you eat all of our food at the HQ. Yeah. And the
Oh
second-
yeah, and Callia doesn't cook. She eats all the food, but like doesn't even offer to make dinner one night. She's just like, oh yeah, great dinner, thanks. See you tomorrow, and then just like leaves.
Alright, and here's a second question, which ties into Leanne as an icon, but also, how much really they fucking?
Oh boy.
Not answering that question. I don't want to get bombed by Pelgrane Press.
Yeah, what is just the title, like the state of their relationship at this point?
I don't know. What do you want, Leanne? Are you gonna confirm anything?
Look, we can have a relationship, but don't expect Leanne to openly confirm anything.
That's fair.
Some may say that they might have maybe seen Callie and Leanne's hands touch at one point. Nobody's really sure though, because Callia used non-lethal force to knock that person out, and make sure that they didn't remember what happened. But of course, it's lethal. But she definitely didn't get sent to jail for it that time, so it's okay.
Yeah. Max, any questions for the good old champion?
Yeah, I guess that they're both Crusader related, but Callie is the only one who knows what happened to the Crusader.
I mean, when I was writing this, I wasn't sure if I was actually allowed to be like, yeah, I'm the one that killed the Crusader. So I left it a little bit vague and ambiguous. I think Callia probably was the one to take out the Crusader, but I think she also likes that people don't really know the full story, so she can seem like a little mysterious. And, people can kind of have their own rumors about the champion that makes her, seem differently to different people. Some people may see her as scary, people may see her as forgiveful, some people may see her as, secretive. I think she kind of likes that there's no one definition to her as an icon.
Do you have any idea what her symbol looks like?
I just found a generic stock image of a shield and some swords. If I was to put a little bit more effort into it, it would probably be the silhouette of her tower shield.
Okay. Question. What was the question though? Has she ever met her dad now? Does she know who her dad is?
I would think that after they did something as monumental as like taking out the stone thief and like restoring balance, or at least somewhat of balance to like the death gods and all of that, I think her father probably would have like come out and said, hey, this is what I've been doing. And I think it would kind of be like a moment of realization of like, this is what I was always meant to do. Like I was always meant to help other people, but I just, got lost along the way and then had to be kind of shepherded back in the right direction. So I think that would probably be like a contributing factor to her like story as the champion.
Okay. Ellen, let's talk about the dame. You're muted.
I was muted, I'm sorry. Okay, so the dame. At this point, the Dame is the undisputed head of the Jadespine Dwarven clan, and she's also the head of Jadespine Enterprises. She's a major sponsor for artisans, craftsmen, and performers, and her business interests probably encompass more platinum than any other entity in the Dragon Empire at this point. I don't mean that she is the single richest entity, but that she has probably like the most cash moving back and forth in various places. It's not liquid cash.
Okay, Scrooge.
Huh?
You're Scrooge McDuck.
No, I don't think she actually. Yeah, I think she tends to reinvest it or spend it. While the basis of her work is mostly in heavy manufacturing and magic items, she is also a great patron of the arts. And she takes to the stage very rarely these days, but her voice can still move an audience to tears. She has 2 houses, 2 primary residences. One is in the traditional seat of the Jadespine clan, and the other one is in Oasis, which is also the secondary headquarters for Jadespine Enterprises, where they actually do a lot of work on sponsoring adventurers in the remains of the Stone Thief. She's likely to be found in one of these 2 places, traveling back and forth via a set of permanent portals, which the Stalwart Keeper helped her establish. She's also a frequent attendee at the Oasis Opera House. While she's technically a citizen of the Dwarf King, who controls the lion's share of the mining, the Dame controls the manufacturing. So if you want something built, odds are Jadespine Enterprises either builds it or knows or can point you to someone who does. She also loves young performers, and many a young bard and adventurer has gotten their start with her patronage. She also has founded the Jadespine Conservatory, which is one of the best places in the Empire for bardic or theatric training. She doesn't actively run it herself, but she does approve all of the staff and frequently shows up to give tips and feedback. She has a particular fondness for bards, but she also enjoys artisans and crafters of all kinds, artists of all shapes, and she often sponsors the initial training of, in particular, a lot of bards, but other people as well. They also hire a lot of adventurers, doing all kinds of work for Jadespine Enterprises, but also just kind of continuing to sponsor them. They do a lot of security, testing, specific missions, all kinds of stuff. She is a veteran of, I named it the Abyssal War arbitrarily, and she still has strong feelings about demons, and she also has a personal vendetta against living dungeons. These are kind of her followers, or like these bards and people that she's sponsoring, followed by these adventurers that she's, giving their break and helping them build their resume. Her allies kind of shift with her business interests, but she generally works pretty closely with the Dwarf King and the Emperor. The Archmage is a big customer of hers, and she also offers a lot of support to the Bright Prince and the Stalwart Keeper. Also probably to the Champion, but I'm guessing that's more on a personal level rather than, politically. Her enemies, the High Druid, probably has concerns over the rapid expansion of her manufacturing capabilities. And the Elf Queen and the Dame are both prickly, high-strung individuals. They might work together, but they're also absolutely happy to backtalk each other and backstab each other. And if the Dwarf and Elven War ever re-breaks out, the Dame will absolutely side with the dwarves. And she also really dislikes the Diabolist.
Yeah, I think most people do, just in general, especially after a demon war.
No, Dame's firmly on the anti-demon side.
Yeah, the Diabolist definitely got a bit of a power bump after, the near destruction of the world from demons pouring from the abyss. Important question for Leanne, actually. So, we know there is a portal connection from Oasis to the bathtub of Jadespine Manor. Yeah. But I'm going to give you another set to put anywhere you want. I recommend them be places that you can tightly control.
We had a lot of fun at one point, Cody and I, talking about where would be other places that would be cool for Portal.
making a meme. I'll look at the world map in a second.
All right. Ellen, anything else about the Dame?
Everything, True Danger, everything will be alright, provided the Forge Orb remains in the Dame's control and functional.
Yes, and for those who don't recall, the Forge Orb is a very rare item, one of the only few that are known to be in anyone's possession in the world that allow the creation of new magic items.
That's kind of what kickstarted Jadespine Enterprises.
Rumham, questions, feedback, or thoughts for the Dame?
Been any new, like, iconic or, like, super, like, important magic items that have been made?
Let's see. I know that Leanne supposedly has a shiny new. Do you have a new sword power? Or is that the?
It's the old one. It's an
okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, she's probably willing to. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I hadn't thought about that very much. Possibly.
I mean, we can
whatever...
assume that she makes whatever weapons the icons have, right?
Probably. We could also probably she was involved in creating whatever was used to seal the abyss. However, that was done. The Forge Orb and her manufacturing was probably involved.
And is the Dame, like, is she the one who holds all of the knowledge on how to use the Forge Orb, or did she pass that on to someone that she trusted?
She passed it on, so she has, she always had, I can't remember their names, Neil was operating the Forge, remember while we were gone, and, so, like, it's not like she's the only one that knows, but she's the one that owns it. She and the Jadespine clan are the ones that control it. So if it was ever stolen or something like that, then the empire would, her economic empire would probably start to collapse.
Ouch.
Rob, questions, feedback, thoughts?
I got 2 questions. Is the Dame going to create some sort of new dynamic between business and the arts? Because the fact that we've got, like, the ultimate bard, the ultimate business person, they're all the same person. It's like, okay.
Well, okay, because her whole thing has always been, she wants to live the good life. And originally the best way that she could do that personally was as an opera singer, and so that's where she kind of got involved with the arts.
Oh,
and
okay. So she was, all right.
So she was always playing a little bit of that, like opera is a way to make money. You get a good patron, they're going to take you around and get you the nice champagne. And then she ended up in charge of the Jadespine clan, which is where all of a sudden she had the ability to start making financial investments and build a business that would fund her doing that herself and be the person taking other people around to give them nice champagne.
Really, the whole adventuring thing, saving the world, was just a great distraction from lounging around and being spoiled.
Yes, that's all she's ever wanted, and now she gets to do it on a scale that she could have never dreamed of.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
I think she sees it not so much as trying to tie, like, there is a certain business element to it of her trying to protect her clan, but it is also for her, I think she sees a lot of manufacturing as another kind of art. Being a really good blacksmith or a really good carpenter or stuff like that. I think she respects and understands that as it is another kind of art. It's just not a fine art.
I was just thinking about whether or not there were any icons who really, really, really are about artistic creation, and it seems like the Dame is going to be bigger on that in a way than most.
Yeah, I think it's odd because, like, it's kind of a hybrid between the Elf Queen, who, her high court has all sorts of culture, and the Dwarf King with all his manufacturing and mining, and she's just this in between.
So if there was to be this amazing opera written that was called The Two Divas, and it clearly starred the Elf Queen and the Dame, is there any chance? Just a one-time performance? Any chance?
Oh,
Ooh.
that might be hard after the death of the VP of Agriculture.
Oh my god. You know there's somebody who's doing like a weird indie like theater project surrounding that performance.
Someone's cast the Elf Queen as a young dwarf and the Dame as a young elf. It's really
That's
really
right.
great.
There's all kinds of nonsense
Good.
happening,
All right.
yeah.
I don't.
Two Divas.
I think there might have been a chance of a one-time actual two icon performance, but neither of them liked it.
I think more likely it would have been, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting Leanne's icon name.
The Stalwart Keeper.
The Stalwart Keeper. I think it would have been more likely to be the Dame and the Stalwart Keeper doing like a series of duet performances than the Dame willingly going on stage with the Elf Queen at this point. I think
Too many
there's
dead
just
bodies.
yeah, there's too many dead bodies between them.
Okay.
Pow, questions, feedback, thoughts?
Yeah, I can. You have all of this going on. You got all this business. You make the magic items. Life is good, but there's something that's been on my mind. And the question I have for you, as I stall out to think of one because I forgot to think of it, so I'm just gonna keep rambling. She handles all of this business, but like, where does she spend it? Like, where does the majority of that money end up actually going?
A lot of it, I think, she reinvests into the business. The stuff that actually comes to her for spending, she gives out tons and tons of patronage. So pays for talented bards to get their schooling, sponsors young adventurers in getting better, more reasonable equipment for the work they're doing and stuff like that. I think she also donates heavily to people who are building theaters and opera houses, conservatories, various public works across the empire.
I was just curious if there was like any passion project that she was working for.
That would probably be the Jadespine Conservatory, a school specifically for training specifically opera singers. That's probably her big passion project, but she gives money all over the place.
Okay.
Max?
Alright, so the Dame is working very closely with the Dwarf King. He's doing the manufacturing, she's doing, I don't know, the rest of the business. I know that they're allies, but push comes to shove, there's a disagreement between the two. Who has the 51%? Who has the 49%?
I think it depends, because the Dwarf King definitely has still the ties down into... The Dwarf King, I think, has the 51% when it comes to the other Dwarven clans and to the Underdark, but the Dame, I think, has the 51% when it comes to the rest of the actual Dragon Empire. She's the one that has more political connections and stuff like that there. So I think it kind of depends on what the disagreement is over. If it's over an issue with another Dwarven clan, then I think the Dwarf King comes out on top. If it's something like, with the Dragon Emperor, the Archmage, or something like that, or the demons, then I think the Jadespines come out on top.
It's like a really easy, it's a price thing between, because he's selling a lot of the stuff to you, right?
Yeah, probably. The Dame probably purchases a lot of I don't know that goes directly through the Dwarf King. I think she has independent contracts with the different dwarven clans. I think it would depend. I think it kind of varies, like business deal to business deal. It's like this very like convoluted, evolving relationship, and at the end of the day, I think they both like really have a lot of respect for each other. So I think it mostly evens out, and they end up, leaving each other in a good place. But yeah, I think sometimes there are meetings that are conducted at high volume.
Can I say something about the Dwarf King that may not be true? And you guys can all decide whether or not it could be the case that in the history of the Dwarf King, one of the reasons why the Dwarf King keeps on holding it together is because partnerships with icons like you really he works at making them work instead of like fighting them down. It's like you are the hot flavor of the 14th age. And the Dwarf King is going to be there too, so. Yeah,
I think there is probably an element of that, especially since, like, the Dame was part of the group that ultimately saved his ass in the latest, like, Dwarf and Elven War. The dwarves were definitely losing, and the Dame was part of the group.
I didn't even know that, so okay.
The dwarves were losing. The what was it, the Civ 5 generation model had the dwarves losing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the Dame was part of the group that did the final peace treaty, so I think there is definitely that there. But at the end of the day, in terms of dwarven matters, she is also only one clan.
Mm-hmm.
So, just real quick question about the current icons. Like the Dwarf King. Like when the Dwarf King dies, do they elect a new one? Is it always the same one? Kind of immortal.
With the Dwarf King, it is a monarchy, so it will pass down in line to the Dwarf Prince. The Elf Queen has lived for several ages, but eventually will pass down to the Elf Princess. Both the Dwarf Queen and the Elf Queen tend to live multiple ages at a time, but they do pass it down to someone. The Emperor is a human and therefore tends to pass down at least once, if not multiple times in age.
Okay. And the Priestess was?
The Priestess was a one-age icon and probably lived longer than normal for whatever race she is. So she's probably just a,
Said that she was an oracle, like, at least when I was looking it up.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever been, like, I think she lived her life and she passed away and or faded to obscurity, and that's it.
Okay.
And the Crusader, who knows what the Crusader is doing to extend his life?
The Dame's moisturizing, that's what she's doing.
Yeah. Rumham, any questions for the Dame?
I went first. I already asked mine.
No, well, then we're good. Rob, let's talk about the revival of the Grandmaster of Flowers.
Okay, what I think it's about is that although Core will probably end up as the first Grandmaster of Flowers, against the flow of the way icons usually work, the reason that the Grandmaster of Flowers thing is interesting is that it's only temporary. Every 7 or 11 years, there's a great tournament, and somebody else is the Grandmaster of Flowers. And so it's like an organization, like a mindset that wants that to happen. Because although they keep on, so people have the title, and they really are an icon because they have the full power of like an icon organization behind them, but it's not about a single person.
So they get faction power. Do they also get some sort of rare item that perhaps bumps them up in power?
I would put my finger, if we were in person, I would put my finger to my lips.
Okay. Is this only open to monks, or is this open to any martial combatants or any adventures
Well,
at all?
It turns out that the tournament is more than just fighting, and that it would be extremely difficult for somebody to be doing it who wasn't at least something of a monk. I mean, but having said that, I think that when you ask the question about what type of adventurers and other people are attracted to this, the answer is all types of weird-ass multi-class people who do things that you wouldn't expect them to do. Like the commander who somehow has teleport abilities, and the paladin who actually somehow ended up summoning demons. And so there's a weird thing about people who can do unexpected things. And in the background, I mean, what I would say, and I don't know if you're going to want this to be true, like when you talk, one of the weird things about the organization is that it's actually about covert friendships between elements of icon organizations. Core studied with the Three and studied with the Emperor, and technically the Black Dragon is not getting along with the Emperor. But you know what? The monks who were part of Core's monastery and the monks who were part of the Emperor's monastery, they all get along and actually compete with each other, and even sometimes cooperate. Sometimes as rivals, sometimes enemies, and so there's an element of, but that is not something that is public.
Yeah.
It isn't even. It's not like everybody goes around going, oh, the Emperor and the Three, I guess they're getting along. Nope. That's not what it looks like. So I think that's part of the background of the Prince of Shadows angle.
Okay.
Stuff is happening in the shadows that people would be surprised by.
All right. And what terrible thing might befall the world if...
Well, the terrible thing that would befall the world is if there's a weird sort of law of gravity, which is that when superheroes are going around in cities, they always somehow seem to run into people doing supervillainous things, and it's because there's only so much superhero gravity in the world, and they all track to the same place.
Yeah.
So actually, the terrible thing would be is if the flippin' terrible Emperor also came back. That would be because in a weird way, did the Grandmaster of Flowers return because it's going to be needed because the terrible Emperor is coming back soon too? That would be awful.
I like it. Book of Ages, if you're interested in lore, Book of Ages, which we're gonna run later today. All right. Let's go ahead and ask questions. Pal?
Well, I have to ask the question.
You don't have to if you don't have. It's okay.
You can also just be like, "Oh, that was cool."
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it was stinky. So these monks are working together. Are they trying to get in good with other monasteries that are potentially allied with some of the different icons? Like, are there some dwarven monasteries they're trying
I think
to get
so.
in good with?
Yeah, totally. There should be. But that's but I suspect maybe not that common, but somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, where is the Grandmaster of Flowers trying to get in good with?
I suspect the answer is that the Grandmaster of Flowers is trying to get in good with anywhere where monk and where people practice the monk arts. And I think in the same way when the champion said it could be possibly anybody, that is actually true. There are probably Rakshasa monks, which are not necessarily something that most people can deal with, but it's entirely possible that in the setting of the tournament world, at least, they do deal with them for a little while.
Legend says there are monks with moves from beyond this world in Starport.
Right. So it's not as The priestess was all about the gods of light. That's for sure. It was definitely the gods of light, and that's nice. But there are also powers of shadow and powers of darkness, and they are. The Grandmaster of Flowers is about trying to find common ground, which actually tends to take physical expression. So the answer to your question could be yes.
Okay, Max?
Although I'm really not sure what the hell was going on with those snake people you were trying to resurrect. That would be interesting. I'm still waiting for that shoe to drop. I have no idea what that was about.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We'll get to it.
We'll get into it. Okay, all right.
Next. Last question will get feedback.
I was muted. Where is this located, or where is Core Group?
Core also found Oasis, like, pretty fun place to be. But the truth is that because a Grandmaster of Flowers tends to change, like, there are monasteries and flying realms and all kinds of weird places, and the tournaments are held in bizarre places. It's not a centralized thing. After a little while, I would expect.
I know anything about monks and their monasteries. It's if you need them and they're in the most inconvenient place, that will require a lot of walking.
It's probably making it so that the students don't, like, give up on the first week and go home.
Rumhead?
I did miss Core's introduction because I was not playing that week. So, I mean, a lot of this is just new information.
That's funny. That's right. What the hell?
I don't really know if I have any feedback or questions. Because this is the first time I'm hearing all of this information. So,
That's fine.
I hate to be that guy, but I don't think I have anything to add.
Ellen?
So the Grandmaster of Flowers is, like, almost exclusively focused on what's going on in the monk world. Is that?
To a certain extent. But how to say it? No, it's like that's how they get their power. But in the past, one of the things that the Grandmaster of Flowers are really known for is overthrowing tyrannical regimes.
Gotcha. Okay.
It is in fact almost in a weird way like having people who work for the three involved, and also that's the thing. The Grandmaster of Flowers is not like saying you print a tattoo of the Grandmaster of Flowers on your skin and therefore you can't be involved with any other icon. That's not true at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact is there are people who work for the three and things that other people don't necessarily regard as people who work for the three, who probably are involved with Grandmaster of Flowers a little bit, and that actually is a little bit of a sort of, what's the word, a cautionary note for the blue.
Okay.
The blue has to be a little bit like, oh, I've got followers who are happy doing things that I can't exactly control, and they seem to be really effective. So I don't know. I'm not positive that's how it would play out. I think the truth is the Grandmaster of Flowers is probably one of those icons who flourishes for a little while and then dies. You know, so
fair enough.
Yeah, it's not going to be. I mean, whoever said this stuff was forever?
Yeah.
All right.
It certainly wasn't the first time around, if that was the first time.
How have you figured out where the second set of portals is going?
I've been torn between two places.
That's almost a country song.
It's true.
I've got portals in two places.
I've got portals in two places. Oh dear.
I think which corner of the map am I going to leave with less pressure?
As a reminder, the Midland Sea is generally pretty quick to travel across, taking no more than a day by boat.
put a portal over in, like, Burrow.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Connected to Oasis again or somewhere else?
Oasis.
All right. So you have a central portal hub, tightly controlled. One goes to a bathtub in the Jade's Spire Manor, and the other goes to a more formal building in near Burrow.
Yeah, which, on the vein of that, I have a feeling as if Leanne would push to have that bathtub repurposed into a proper outpost for what she's handling, and the Jade Spine Manor is moved over slightly.
Yeah, look, there was that giant hole anyway. Like, you might as well have built something. I don't know. Talk with the dame about it.
Yeah, just thinking, like,
Yeah, no, that's fine.
a little bit of separation of business there.
Oh, you know what? Rob's never seen the old,
Oh yeah.
I'll
Bring up the old hole in the ground.
I'll bring up the whole hole in the ground when I find it, because I don't even think I loaded it yet. Tell us about the Stalwart Keeper.
Yeah, we'll do. So, Leanne is the Stalwart Keeper now, and she's the head operator of the newly separated Unswaying Scales, formerly known as Lacerators, from the Dragon Empire. She's the foremost expert on law and fuels her own branch of law, plummeting crime wherever her influence reaches. You can find her at the Unswaying Scales headquarters in Oasis, any one of their outposts that they have throughout the Empire, or, if you're particularly unfortunate, while she's on patrol. And the group that the Stalwart Keeper commands is known for two major aspects above all, which is they operate under their own law system, and two, they serve as an archive and consultation for other factions' laws. So if you happen to need knowledge about some arbitrary elf court law, well, you can always come to the Unswaying Scales and the Stalwart Keeper to find out about it, and all of its revisions.
Beautiful.
And it should be known that while their HQ is located in the Red Wastes, thanks to their unique form of teleportation, they have a relay between Oasis and all of their outposts, which allows them to effectively enforce the areas of control no matter the distance, and being able to respond very quickly to any assaults. Which, speaking of, Oasis is literally the city with the lowest crime rate amongst the entirety of the Empire. But any crime that does happen is very much bombastic, to say the least. And, yeah, between the Unswaying Scales, every member of the Unswaying Scales is trained and taught and thoroughly tested in both will and mind before being allowed into their ranks. Whilst they enforce their own laws, the severity of punishment is not set in stone. This thorough training ensures that lawbreakers are considered with context in mind, hence the reasoning behind their name. The unwavering scales is in reference to their scales of justice remaining even no matter the weight of their crimes. And, as a little known tidbit, the elites of the Unswaying Scales are known to have access to a technique known as gravity weaving. And any details of this technique are pretty much hidden entirely within their HQ's walls. But particularly known criminals who have escaped their grasp before have joked about the intensity of their pursuit only being matched by the weight of it. Adventurers. The adventurers. Generally, adventurers are hired by various members of the Unswaying Scales to aid in matters they cannot handle on their own. They're conscripted, and they're being compensated fairly. Such tasks could be raiding a large bandit camp, investigating potentially unexplored ruins to determine who has rightful ownership, or to keep watch over a sheep farm for a supposed sheep snatcher. Any task can be hired for, so long as they desire necessary. And particularly trusted adventurers who work with the Unswaying Scales consistently might end up receiving a glimpse into the secrets of gravity weaving and how it works. Also, on the flip side, in the criminal underworld, there's been bounties placed, with plenty of rewards and notoriety for committing heists in an area that the Stalwart Keeper has strong influence in. Particularly boastful adventurers attempt to claim these in face of the danger for ill-gotten rewards. As for allies, it's pretty obvious, but the Stalwart Keeper still has a pretty good relationship with the Emperor and helps ensure that there's peace throughout the Empire. And she holds a similar situation with the Dwarf King and the Elf Queen, although not as friendly as with the Emperor. And she is remarkably close to the champion compared to every other icon.
What are the odds of that?
Although the Stalwart Keeper refuses to confirm anything. Any offenses to one is likely to ripple to the other. And despite the lingering disdain of religions and the occasional clash between religious groups and her unwavering scales, the Bright Prince's altruistic nature leaves the two on a good note. And the Dame has a solid foundation with her and gladly comes to aid in any of her troubles. Also, it should go without saying, but the Princess Shadows, who commits grand heists and all the criminals they inspire, is a formidable foe that the Stalwart Keeper plans to arrest as a show of prowess. And the ever-pushing demand of returning the wilds from the High Druid is a plight that she can sympathize with, and the two serve as a constant cycle of compromising between the pushing bounds of civilization and returning the full strength of nature to keep peace. I was going to the true danger here. So long as the unwavering scales remain corruption-free and the secrets of gravity weaving with the portals they empower do not fall into the wrong hands, peace will be maintained without issue.
Again, very good art. Max, questions, feedback?
Yeah, so what is Leanne's take on all the slavery gladiator fights and trades throughout the Empire? Does she uphold those laws, and what does she do about it?
Well, when it comes to gladiator fights, those are officially sanctioned. Like, there's gladiator fights in arenas. She's fine with those. They know what they're getting themselves into in there.
Aren't they, like... Okay, side note. Are they similar to, like, gladiator stuff, like, in real life, where they used a ton of slaves, or is this all volunteer?
You know, that's a good question. I'm not sure.
I assume a lot of people wouldn't volunteer to die.
You know, you're assuming that it ends in blood and death.
Cody?
What?
Or Core?
Cody, can you answer this, or shall I?
No, go ahead.
Well, we sort of deliberately leave this up to many campaigns. What we actually write is that in Axis, because it's such a military center, there's definitely a sporting aspect to it and people even have like magic. There's like magic in the arena that helps attach limbs and things like that, and so there's also the suggestion that maybe it is criminal punishments and people like getting out from those like fighting it, so that would be connected to Leanne. But we
definitely leave it up to individual campaigns. Obviously, in Drakenhall, if there are gladiator fights, it might be completely different. So, yeah. So really, I think that
Cody, what kind of campaigns?
since you're asking the question,
We've never explored Axis, so I've never resolved this. So you get to make a decision now.
Generally speaking, the gladiators within Axis are not slaves. They are willing volunteers who go into the arenas knowing the potential risks and dangers of it for fighting for glory and money.
Yeah, I mean, if it was all slave-driven, Callie wouldn't participate in it either. Like, she's not going to go in there and beat down slaves for fun.
She only beats demons for fun.
Yes, she will beat demons for fun, for free.
Oh, maybe that's a way it's evolved in this new age. Maybe people capture demons and fight them in the gladiator pits.
Oh my god.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh wow.
Talia is supporting that. She is like the face of like the commercials that you see for like new and improved gladiator chambers and axes. Come and beat the snot out of some stupid, dumb, ugly baby demon baby uglies.
And then it's just a scrying portal ad of Callie a pile driving a baby demon.
Yeah.
In the very far distance, you can just see Leanne watching with a shaking head as it blows.
Face palm, yeah.
Yeah. So there was the talk of that. What was the second part of that question, Max?
You answered it.
Okay.
It was all about the gladiator.
I thought that was the second part.
Rumham?
I really don't have any questions either because I read all of this ahead of time because Pal helped me out with.
All right. Ellen?
Mine, so I'm good.
Ellen?
I mean, maybe you said what you want to say about this, but I guess I am curious with the Stalwart Keepers, the Fearless Scales, and the, legislators, and that relationship with the Emperor. How has that evolved? What is their status in relation to the Emperor at this point? Is there a separate legislator movement still?
At this point, there might be, but pretty much every member that was involved when Leanne was active has separated off into her faction.
Okay.
And generally, I believe the Emperor trusts Leanne well enough to let her help enforce the peace, as her branch of law is close enough to the Dragon Empires to not be of too much issue.
Okay.
But by all considerations, the Emperor has no official hold over the Unswaying Scales and the Stalwart.
Okay, so you're basically in the same awkward position as the Dame of haha, very, very powerful. There's kind of a boss, but
Yeah, but that's a part of why she took over Oasis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a lot of fucking paperwork because of all the Stone Thief bits thrown about in there.
Yeah, I'm going to say it likely made sense for the Emperor to split out that as a whole new faction. Just like how, the Archmage is its own icon and the Priestess is its own icon, right? It's just easier for him if those are consolidated and don't end up on his paperwork stack.
That's fair.
I remembered a question that I had actually. If you guys are done.
Yeah.
Being that Kalia is kind of loosey-goosey with her enforcement as an icon, how does Leanne feel about that, being that she's a bit more strict and to the law? Like, would Kalia taking in a criminal to kind of help rehabilitate, how would she feel about that?
Well, I've said I didn't say it, but the Stalwart Keeper's quote is, "If the law is malleable, I'd sooner plunge into anarchy than be unjust." A criminal being brought in and given a new lease, a second chance of being able to prove themselves and work off of what they did wrong and redeem themselves, seems like a fitting punishment of community service, if you ask me.
So getting shacked with Kalia is a community service punishment?
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, you right. That's
You don't
not
even
wrong.
have your own house. They still have to end up bunking through Oasis HQ if they stick with you.
True, you're right.
Ellen, any questions?
I asked that question.
Oh.
I'm good.
We're good. Core, Rob, I think you're the only one left then.
So, is there any chance that Leanne's example is like sort of a new tiefling cultural movement that is giving a different flavor to that, or is Leanne like not regarded at all by other tieflings like that?
She might be, but it's never been her intention, and is just a byproduct of it.
Yeah.
Along with, like, probably her dad being a part of it, as he was the original creator of the Gravity Weavers, who have been assimilated into the Stalwart Keeper and the Unswaying Scales. So, I would say that there is probably, just due to representation, a larger grouping of tieflings within the Unswaying Scales and Oasis than normal. But she hasn't gone out of her way to promote it or anything.
Okay. I was just wondering, since the bad rap of the Diabolist and the Stalwart Keeper definitely being a completely different powerful direction, so it's good.
Yeah, probably a good representation considering, you know, the whole Abyss opening up and all the
exactly.
Yeah, let's not...
So, good timing.
It's probably inconvenient that the portals are powered by hell magic, isn't it?
You know,
I didn't know that.
They've been working to get off of that power source, alright?
They have been. It was a bad lead.
That's awesome.
What they thought they were investigating as a clean source was actually just a bound up hellhole. It's always hell magic.
Oh dear. Gravity. I think you meant gravity.
Look. The portals, it's always been based off the hellhole magic. It's always been based off hell realm.
Look, anytime Leanne's opened a portal, it's been like, 20, 30 feet away. Now that there's portals halfway across the Empire, you start to notice that, like, it takes a little bit, like you're traveling through a different plane of existence. It's a little warmer. Anyway, let's talk about the Bright Prince.
All right. I'll try to keep this pretty brief here. Pretty straightforward. Actually, first question. Santa Cora, was that always part of the Empire, or was it always a free city?
It's a city allied with the Empire.
Okay.
But it does have its own laws and, like, leadership.
Alright, sounds good. So, the Bright Prince is the 14th Age's new, chosen by the Bright Gods icon. That no longer, that kind of dropped like the pacifist ways of the last ones. So, I put up my sheet. So, he would rule over Santa Cora and pretty much just train Asmir and anybody else who wants to follow their ideals, pretty much. They kind of work similar to, I guess, the Stalwart Keeper, except for their ideals are based off of what the Bright Gods' ideals are, and not Lucian's personal ideals. Yeah, I think he's pretty much allies with everybody, except for like any remainder like Crusader people, the Diablos and the Lich King are all probably clear enemies. Yeah, I guess it's pretty much you swap out the priestess for the Bright Prince, and you lose the pacifism, and that's it.
What's
And you add a werewolf.
and you add a hint of werewolf.
Yeah, which most people wouldn't know.
What's your true danger? Everything will be okay unless what?
I didn't really have one. Everything will be okay unless everybody stops working with him, I guess. Like if, I don't know, because he's like not political at all. So if like, I don't know,
I mean,
any
you're
of the
a
other icons.
representative of the bright gods.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess if the bright gods fall, that would be doomsday.
Yeah, maybe that needs some workshopping, but I think we'll go to questions from Ham.
Being that the priestess kind of had some pretty pretty strong ideas about what is right and wrong, is Lucian is he enforcing his I guess beliefs, his religion as strongly as the priestess was? Seemed like the priestess there was this is good, this is bad. There's no middle ground. Does he have more of a middle ground since he has that werewolf in him, or?
Yeah. So I mean, I think that he has pretty much the same ideals. I'm not sure because she chose him as a champion. He was already a werewolf and all that stuff. So I would say, yeah. I mean, he's talking to the same god, so it's all the same ideals and everything like that. But he's definitely not pushy, and if you don't want to follow them, then you don't follow them, and that's fine. But it'll protect the ones that want to
If
follow it.
one of the bright gods that you speak for maybe had a different opinion,
Callia's dad.
Yeah, sure. Maybe if Callia's dad was the annoying hippy dippy dude that played devil's advocate in every argument, how would Lucian handle that?
So I'll say hippy dippy Callie's dad feels about right.
I thought they had different, I guess, areas that they ruled, or that the gods kind of ruled over. But do they really differ in opinion a lot?
I mean,
you wouldn't have to choose between them, would you?
I feel like sometimes you would. I mean, there might be cases where a god of honor or something like that might end up butting against a god of love or something like that. Those are two bright concepts, but they might end up coming up with radically different. Hey, this is how this thing should go.
Yeah, you're gonna have to intermediate between those.
Oh man, the mantle you inherited before the priestess, the most of the bright god religions hated each other and would not work together. It's like modern day religion. They all say that they follow the one true God that's worth following. They're all good gods. None of them want to rule the world with an iron fist, but.
All right. Well, then it's going to be peacekeeping. But anybody, I guess to get back to the original question, anybody who wants to join can join. Anyone who doesn't want to doesn't have to. There won't be pressure.
Ellen?
I had one and now it's gone. Hang on. Oh, so how do you balance? So in your original write-up, you kind of talked about hiding the werewolf thing a little bit. How do you balance that with Lucian had sort of started this theme of finding other were creatures and helping them learn how to manage their powers. Is that still something that the Bright Prince does?
Yeah, and it's not just that. It's like any redemption arc. Anyone who wants like to do better, I guess, is welcome to join, regardless of I guess what they are, what they did.
Rob?
And so I take it, like, in the 13th age, the priestess built the cathedral. And that was like the heart of Santa Cora, which was this giant, weird-ass place where all the gods sort of were, gods of light were happy to be worshipped in it. Is that something that Lucian is really, as the Bright Prince, is really into, or does he have a different way of keeping things together?
I think it's the same. Like, he wouldn't knock that down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. So yeah, he would be. I mean, he's not always in there. He's like willing to get like hands dirty and training and be on the front lines. But yeah, otherwise he's there. I guess mitigating, which I didn't realize was going to be a task force. But
does your background as ranger, wild person, change things? Because it felt like the priestess was kind of urban, and it feels like you're kind of not.
Very much not. Very much not political. Also, I guess I mean the really the main difference is like her vow of like pacifism is gone, so they're like training people and whatnot. But no, like it's not just rangers or I don't know outskirts people that will go to them. They'll take in anybody.
Pow?
So, here's something that I want to know more about. You're training people now in order to fight for what the Bright Gods deem correct. And you're obviously doing peacekeeping between the Bright Gods, but is there any way you're ensuring that the people you're training don't get overzealous in their enforcement of the Bright Gods' ideals?
I mean, there'd still be like a leadership path, and so only like the most trusted people would actually be like scheduling missions or doing any of that stuff. So if you're even in question, you're probably not in like a higher up role to do that. But yeah, I think they'll pretty much train anybody. I mean, they're not going to be paying well, or you're not going to get paid or anything for doing it. So they're hoping that they're not like attracting in people for the wrong reasons.
So Max, can I suggest a true danger?
Yeah.
That's way distant in a weird way. It would be like, everything will be alright as long as the shriveled husk of the Crusader doesn't manage to be reborn inside the cathedral and train himself up in the non-pacifist ranks.
Yeah. Go for it.
Alright.
All right. We've talked about each other's icons. I'm sure some of you have jotted down some notes. We're going to next do a little bit of Book of Ages, but like into the future. First, let's talk about what happened to the Abyss. So we know the Great Golden Worm had used its body to block it up, and that failed when it died. Demons poured out. There was a great war. You guys fought some great giant thing, demon. In fact, yeah, let's just pull that out there. You fought Kozilek, the Great Distortion. It was a whole thing, right? But you overcame it. The demons were defeated. The Abyss was sealed up. How did this happen, and what does that seal look like?
I think it's safe to say that whatever this seal looks like and however it was implemented, Kalia probably had a big part in that.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of Kalia's job as an icon is watching over this seal.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was imagining too. And that's kind of why I didn't know that we could have multiple icons in one city. So I originally put her in Horizon because it was one of the cities that had a good view of both the necropolis and of the abyss. So yeah, I think Kalia probably spends most of her time keeping an eye on the abyss, and when she is out on the front lines, it's probably most likely there maintaining whatever seal she has. I'm sure she probably works with the Archmage to, cast magic on that large of a scale as well. As to what exactly the seal would be, honestly, not quite sure. I'm assuming that as she got stronger, she probably had, was able to gain more knowledge and experience on sealing demons. I would want to say whatever seal it is, it's probably some sort of shield to shield the demons from the outside, trapping them in the abyss.
Okay, so the Crusader, if you want to keep drawing parallels, had conquered a hellhole and made it his home. I could imagine the champion having a giant shield fortress over the top of the abyss that she resides in.
Yeah, I don't think she would make her home a hellhole by any means. I don't think she wants to spend any more time in one than she has to. And it's not like she's, using the demons in her army to fight like the Crusader was.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it probably is more of like a structure type thing that, she could probably split her time between there and Oasis.
If I could give some advice on that part. Leanne, so you came in with the Gravity Weavers in order to perform a ritual to shorten the abyss from its absurd length and using gravity to essentially pull together and try and stitch the land back up to make it less of a problem. And that would make Kalia, the champion's fortress, need less constant overwatch.
Okay. Now, much like putting a band-aid over a wound, it doesn't really help all the blood that came out, right? I can only imagine the land is racked by, hordes of demons that weren't put back in when you sealed it up. What's that like?
Messy. For one, to put in the one word, I think that would be messy. I feel like this is where a lot of the budget would go in terms of hiring adventurers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's no way to do it without there just being like decades of demons to deal with.
Transportation's probably hard. Anyone have thoughts on like how people are getting around? Are these portals like being used by the masses? Are people like traveling in armed convoys? Like what's going on?
You mean in general?
Yeah.
Throughout everywhere?
Yeah, people
just
still need to trade, get from city to city. Visit their relatives, give mom a visit.
Right. So basically you're saying after the war zone, things are kind of topsy-turvy and it's difficult to actually move around.
Yeah. How are people getting around?
In a weird way, I mean, in a certain sense, this is where the Empire
and then 7 cities have to step in. I mean, have to like show themselves, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like sort of like the emperor's job is the roads, and kind of that's what I would have guessed. But if that isn't true, then I guess we'll have to figure something else out.
That can be true. It's up to you guys. This is your world building.
I mean, that would kind of be my assumption. I mean, depending on how steampunky you wanted to take this, then I'm sure the Jade Spines are working on, you know, other moves of
Magic
travel.
train.
Magic train. We were on a magic train.
I did play a 13th Age campaign that had a magic train in it.
Well, magic trains are now canon. Good job.
I would not be opposed to magic trains.
Magic
That's the
train.
real passion
Magic
project
train.
of the Jade Spines. They're making a damned railroad across the empire.
God.
There we go.
In before the Jade Spine, the dame discovers oil and
No oil
I will note,
necessary.
I think, one, there's the revolutionizing of transportation being headed by the Dane and such, and also I think a lot of the Emperor's forces are probably focused on keeping the roads safe currently,
okay.
which is weakening their foothold on some other stuff, but
You know, it's always a balancing act, right?
yeah.
Lan, what happened to the snake people, by the way?
You know, they kind of,
Because I think they have a home under the Lizard King.
yeah, they kind of went off. They found themselves. They found the Lizard King. They aligned under him. I think they're in the Fangs now. And while she may not approve of exactly what they might be trying to do now, she's still, like, kind of their ambassador. So she's been, like, working with the Emperor and the Elf Queen and the Dwarf King to have them officially recognized within all of the empires and all that.
Okay.
And then probably arresting them whenever they do anything wrong, which they're going to do a lot. But, you know, I'm not about to have them just not be officially recognized. They came back as a species. They deserve to be acknowledged within the Empire. And, you know, so long as they don't overstep their boundaries within the Fangs, or there's probably even a small subsection that went off into the Wildwood. Is like hiding away somewhere in the wilderness there.
Okay.
So long as they don't overstep their boundaries, they probably would be welcomed with a wary eye, to say the least.
Okay. All right. I want each of you to pick 2 factions. Ideally, you should probably pick at yourself or one of the factions related to yourself. But these are people who are related to icons. I already put the Chromatic Wizards, which are an Archmage related one. And then we're going to do a Book of Ages and forward.
So you want us to do, like, our icon and then just, like, another person?
Like, for, you know, Leanne, her icon is the Stalwart Keeper, and a faction under her icon is, you know...
Gotcha.
I forgot their name, unfortunately. Something chains.
Scales.
Thank you.
Something scales.
Gunsling scales.
Can it be like a pass? Like a group that was once under a different icon, maybe that fell and then has been absorbed by our...
Yep. A faction who existed in the 13th Age, who still exists in the 14th Age in some form.
Okay. I mean, I guess I can go first. I think even though the Crusader is gone, I think Callie would have adopted the idea of having like a fist. So not necessarily, exactly the same, but I think she would have adopted a similar group of close-knit individuals that she can trust, who can hold their own in battle, and kind of be the first responders along with her on the front line.
Is it okay to call him the Shield?
We can call him the Shield, because I can't think of anything better. But I think inspired by Nathaniel and his duty and his friendship and camaraderie that he provided, rather than the Crusaders' idea of these people are mine to control and they will follow me no matter what I do. Kind of. That's
Okay.
how it differs.
Okay. What's your second faction? This might be someone. It doesn't have to be anything related to your icon. It could be anyone that you liked in the campaign world that you want to explore the story of.
Before you go into that, can I make a suggestion for the name of your group?
Yes, please, God.
What about Fangs of the Shield? Or something like that, like the spikes of the shield.
Oh, yeah, because Callie has the scales.
Yeah, because made off of a thunder
No,
beast.
it can't be scales because that's
the
unswaying scales.
Look, there could be, but like fangs of the shield or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll have to think.
Not super important. In fact, actually, let's think about your second faction. Ellen.
Yeah.
What's your first faction? Probably the Jade Spines.
Sure. I was originally going to say actually Jade Spine Enterprises and focus on the business, but yeah,
First,
Jade Spine
no,
Dormant
Jade
Planet is
Spine
probably
Enterprises, totally fine.
Yeah, Jade Spine Enterprises. Let's do that. Because they're doing trains, and that sounds interesting.
Yeah, Rob.
Call it the Tournament of Flowers.
The faction is probably just called the Flowers, right?
The flowers are fine, yeah. Or it could even be called the Garden. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Think about a second one. Pow. The Unswaying Scales.
Yeah. I don't see why I wouldn't have them.
Max.
Aren't the Azimir part of it? Or that's just a race.
Yeah, give them a cool faction title of people who follow you.
Give me a sec.
The Redeemed.
Yeah, sure. That's perfect.
I try my best. All right. Now we're going back around. Rumham, what's your second faction?
I guess people who followed the god of fertility, Kalia's dad, were kind of assimilated into the either assimilated directly into the champions kind of following and welcomed there, and I think they formed kind of like a special healing like school or something, specifically tied to like the god of fertility's teachings and magic that's separate from the Bright Prince.
Man, I really hate to call them the Fertile, but the Growers?
I'll think of something. Come back to me on that one.
Okay.
I'll think of something better than the fertile.
Ellen?
I'm trying desperately to think of.
Could be
another-
any faction. Doesn't have to be related to the game. Anyone you want to
Yeah.
explore.
I know. I kind of want to explore what's happening with Shadowport. They had such a weird little legal system going on there, and I still love it. But I'm not really sure if Shadowport counts as a faction.
I'll just go ahead and say the Shadowport Council.
Okay.
Rob, second faction?
okay, it doesn't directly necessarily have something to do with core, but
That's
you'll see
okay.
that it probably really does. There's like you said there were demons.
spread across the land.
Yep.
And for a time afterwards, there are these mysterious armored figures that teleport in and kill demons with lightning and other magic, and nobody knows who they are. But eventually, gradually, after a while, it starts becoming clear that these people were calling them the Lightning Knights or Knights of the Lightning are actually the Ogre Magi, who have apparently returned in strength.
What icon would you say they're associated with?
Could be the Prince of Shadows.
Okay.
Because they're shady as hell.
That's fair. Pow?
I want to go back to my roots, back to like the first world building we did, and I want to follow along with the High Druids followers who live in that underground forest, that underground jungle way back. And I want to know what's been going on with them and how they've been progressing throughout this age.
All right.
Alright, who was that?
You never met them.
Yeah, say again who they are. I missed the name.
Jurassic Park.
Oh,
Basically, they're
We'll just call them the Ziggurat.
yeah, the Ziggurat works.
okay.
Max, your last one.
I'll call them the engineers.
Okay.
It's Grizzle and kobolds that want to, I guess, what's the word? Acclimate into the Dragon Empire. And it's like, they call it an engineering school, but it's like A through 4 for kobolds.
Nice.
So is the headmaster the dragon that Grizzle?
So it's you know, if they want to get away from that, they then and get a part or like be a part of a true like society. If they want to stick with their dragons, they can. But if they want to be part of society, they go to the engineer.
And learn about putting scorpions on sticks.
Nice.
A little better than that.
Grizzle's improved. He puts 2 scorpions on a stick.
Oh my gosh, what?
And sometimes a tarantula.
Now that's innovation.
Okay, let me give this a real quick save and update. And then each of you, if you go to the dice, there's something called anchors. If you open it up, I need you to roll that twice.
Okay. So go to the dice icon on the little symbol.
Yep. And then there's something called anchors. It's a roll table under there.
And you need us to roll that twice. Just press the button.
Yep. Just
click it.
Just click it.
It's like when you roll the dice, you don't even know where they're going.
I got the same result twice. Is that okay?
Re-roll it if you get the same one twice.
Okay.
I'm not positive. I didn't see my results. Like it didn't. So did they come through, Cody?
Let me double check. I don't see your results. So
That's interesting.
if you
Alright, so
there's a roll button at the bottom right of that window.
yeah. Hold on a second.
Are you
I'm on anchors.
okay?
I'm hitting it.
Okay.
Okay, nothing happening. Give me a second to think about why this would be.
Did you somehow?
I got it. I was dumb. I will not. Alright, so which one? Just hit roll.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Should I re-roll because I got 2 crossovers?
Yes. Okay, now each of your factions is going to have a crossover event. Pick which of your faction gets which of your rolls. As a reminder, a crossover event is when your faction had something like interact with another faction we're talking about. A zenith is when they're at the height of their power. A nadir is when they're at the low of their power. And an iconic is when something dramatically changed with the icon they're associated with. And we're going to be placing those for each of your factions across the 13th age, the Fall of the Stone Thief, the Demon War, and the 14th age. So, Rum, which anchor are you giving the shield?
Sorry, what was Zenith again?
The height.
Okay. I will give. Shoot, I have like two pretty big ones. I will give my iconic to the shield, and I will give my zenith to. Can it be any of them or just mine?
Has to be yours.
Yeah, I'll give my zenith to the Cornucopia School.
Okay, Ellen, which one are you giving to Jade Spine Enterprises?
I would like Jade Spine Enterprises to have Iconic and Shadowport Council to have Crossover.
Okay, Rob, which are you giving to the Garden?
So in other words, I'm not paying attention to any rolls. I'm just deciding which gets what.
Yep.
Wait, no, yes, you rolled Zenith and Iconic, so you're assigning that to.
I have to admit, I don't know where my rolls ended up. So Zenith.
They're in the roll tab in the normal chat log, like if you had rolled some dice.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I rolled Iconic and Zenith. And you're saying that we're doing this for which age?
We're not putting into ages yet. It's just, did the Garden experience a Zenith event or an Iconic event?
Iconic.
Okay. And then that means the Knights of Lightning did a Zenith.
Right.
All right. Pow, Unswaying Scales.
Do I want to do... I guess I'll make the Unswing Scales my iconic. And the Zigguratman has his second crossover.
Okay, and then Max, the Redeemed.
Crossover.
Okay, and the Engineers then are... Okay. Okay, I have saved. Everyone should be able to see the changes. So now we're going to go age by age, I believe. I'm remembering how this works. We're going to plop in our anchors. Man, there's a lot of them. You know, let's just drop the first crossover for each of these, 'cause that's way too many. And let's just do the second one. So for, I'll just go ahead and say for the Chromatic Wizards, they had a crossover event in the 13th age. Okay, Rumham, the Shield, which of these four eras did their iconic event happen?
I think the iconic event happened for the shield during the Demon War.
Okay. All right. Ellen, Jade Spine Enterprises.
14th age.
Okay. I have these out of order. Good job, me. Rob, the Garden. And their iconic.
14th age.
Okay.
Yep, iconic in the 14th age.
Max, the Redeemed, and their crossover.
The Demon War.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Pow, the Unswing Scales, and their iconic.
Fall of the Stone Thief.
Okay. Rumham, the School of Magic, and their Zenith.
14th age.
Okay. Ellen, the Shadowport Council, and their crossover.
Let's do that in the Demon War.
Okay. Rob, Knights of Lightning, and their Zenith.
Demon War.
Makes sense. Pow the Ziggurat and their crossover.
I think Demon War.
Okay. And finally, Max the Engineers and their Zenith. Makes sense. Okay. Cool. I have saved it. So, I think we have a rough story structure. In the 13th Age, before the fall of the Stone Thief, we already know the Chromatic Wizards lend it great aid leading up to the end of the fall of the Stone Thief. Then in the actual fall of the Stone Thief, the Unswaying Scales. Pow, am I correct to understand that this is when the legislators split out from the Empire and started being independent under you?
Yep, this is during this time where the Stone Thief has fallen, Leanne breaks off, rebrands into the Unswaying Scales, and now is running the operation going forward.
Okay. And then into the Demon War. Rumham. Originally, I was like, oh, the Crusader definitely just charged straight into the abyss and never arrived again. But you know the secret. Something happened between the two of you. You possibly dealt the final blow, and he was never seen again. And then his faction started following you and became the Shield, correct?
Yeah. I don't think the Talia would have wanted any of the Crusaders' men to be as close to her as the Shield is. She probably picked different people for that, unless there were certain people who really shined. But I think that the Crusader did charge headfirst into the Demon War, but realized that it was too much and actually became corrupted. And because of that, Talia originally was going to kind of begrudgingly fight by the Crusader side, but actually had to slay the Crusader herself in order to stop him from becoming one of the most powerful demons that they were up against.
Beautiful. Now, for the Redeemed, they had a crossover event. Tell me, Max, about what they did during the Demon War.
They would have joined whatever forces there were to fight, so probably with the Talia champion.
Okay. Rob, like a strike of lightning, the Knights of Lightning appeared out of nowhere, shined brightly against the demons, and then largely disappeared again. Is that correct?
They certainly disappeared into the shadows. They might still
strike again.
I mean, people will still say things like, "Oh, when they're around, that wasn't just a normal storm." But yes.
Pow, even those sheltered in the secret hidden underneath the underneath the wildwood. Certainly, even they served in the Demon War. Tell me about it.
All right, who?
Pow.
In the wildwood.
They were called the Ziggurat.
Oh yeah, them. Got it.
Yeah. Well, here's the dealio. Here's the mishaps on the maps. They ended up working with they actually ended up working with the Shield and what became the Shield, as the Ziggurat actually had a pretty good relationship with Kalia, especially after she officiated one of their weddings they had. So they actually fell and aided Kalia during the Demon Wars, and a decent amount of them ended up joining up for aiding in the Demon War for her.
Okay. All right. The rest of these, we're going to go into question mode to get the real clear picture of what's going on. So we're going, now that we understand the general structure of what's going on, we're going to start. We don't need to talk about the Chromatic Wizards. We know what they did.
I have a question about the Chromatic.
Absolutely.
Is Birdie a chromatic wizard?
Birdie is, in fact, now a chromatic wizard.
What's his title? What's her title?
Give me a second. I have to re-pull it up.
This is the important endgame epilogue I needed.
Rum, you didn't write it in Conca.
Right, what in Conca? Oh,
Birdie's long name.
Huh?
Where's Birdie's long name? Isn't in Conca.
No, it is. It's not in Conca. I remember putting it. I will literally go years back in our Discord conversation to find this. I put it in Conca.
Unfortunate.
I will find it. I'll be right back.
Birdie is the bluish black. So.
I just want to make sure that we're aware of Birdie.
Hold on. That's not the way I want to do this. There we go. I want to do this. Fall of the Stone Thief. Unswaying Scales. After the fall of the Stone Thief, when the Unswaying Scales first became independent, they built a monument to denote their independence and their ideals. What was this monument? This is for POW.
So I have to decide what their monument is. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
My brain's running dry on this one.
I have a thought.
Go for it.
A giant set of scales that are fixed so that they do not waver.
A little on the nose.
Isn't most public architecture kind of on the nose?
You know what? I think it's going to be a mural.
Okay.
It's going to be a giant mural of a dragon with the wings turned to scales, as in weighing scales. Showing their ferocity towards justice, but the equality that they maintain through it. And it's going to serve as inspiration.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Nice.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to say anything. I was just saying nice.
Nice.
My connection's really bad, so I might have looked in.
A-okay. Yes, Birdie the Redeemer, Speaker of Souls, known to everyone as it who squawks relentlessly, banned by over 70 universities, colleges, and libraries. Used to know the blue knows him as Birdie the Black. Normie wizards know him as the Dead Wizard. Unlicensed doctors everywhere know him as Mender of Crows and best friend to the feared skeletal minion Poe, Packer of Eyeballs, and Devourer of Crackers. And at least one other necromancer knows him as owner of the Rogue Left Hand, Count Lefty III, Destroyer Books, and Flipper the Middle Finger.
I like how even Poe and Count Lefty have names.
Of course.
Of course, duh.
Do okay, let's talk about the Shield and the Demon War. So we know a great shield fortress was built at the at the accumulation of this Demon War. Tell me more about how this was built and what it looks like.
I think in the spirit of Kalia's need to sacrifice herself to protect others, I think in the creation of the shield, she gave something of her own to help kind of solidify the strength of the magic.
Is her
And
tower shield at the center of this?
That was what I thought, but that's pretty cool. I was gonna say she gave her right eye so that she would always have an eye on the shield. And I also just wanted a cool excuse to give Callie an eye patch.
That's fair.
Are really cool. But I don't see why she couldn't also have her shield there. That's pretty cool too, I guess, is still my Thunder Tune.
You can do both.
Yeah, yeah, no.
You could give Callie an eye patch without taking away her eye.
That also feels very Kalia.
That does feel very much like Kalia, but I think it needs to be a little bit more dramatic if she wants to use her once a session love domain.
That was
yeah.
how she sealed it. It was a dramatic moment where she plucked an eye and donated her shield.
Yeah.
And the GM's like, that's epic.
In the process of physically sacrificing herself, she also sacrificed, her weapon that she loves so much. But, the Dane can make her a new one. But yeah, I think those physical sacrifices helped kind of solidify the strength of the magic there, and continues to kind of keep a battery on the shield.
Okay. For the redeemed. Let's see. Which of these questions? A new custom was learned and brought back to Santa Cora after the Demon War, thanks to them serving on the front lines with the others. What was it? That is for Max primarily.
Who's on the front lines? The Redeemed?
Yeah. They learned a new custom.
They learned a new custom?
Yep, and they brought it back to Santa Cora.
Oh boy. How about... Because, they were sealing a bunch of stuff. I'll just say, in rituals count? Or is this
Yeah, we could say they learned a new ritual magic for demons.
Alright, let's go with that.
Okay, easy enough. All right. Next crossover is the Shadowport Council. I'm looking at us having 20 minutes left. Do you mind if we maybe don't explore all the secondaries?
Yeah, that's okay. We can skip the Shadowport.
Okay. Yeah, let's just skip all these secondaries, and we can come back to them if we want. We'll jump to the 14th Age, the most important one, where the Jade Spine Enterprises had an iconic event.
Yep.
And this iconic event was...
the death of Curie Jade Spine.
Oh, she dies.
She's not actually immortal or anything. She moisturizes, so she lives, and she lives a long time. But she doesn't exactly have any extra mumbo jumbo boosting her up. So I think at some point the Dame dies, and the institutions she creates are what lives on.
Is the icon name still the Dame then?
Yeah, I think it still stays because that's essentially their quirky CEO title.
Okay, when did she die in the 14th Age?
I don't think it's soon. I think she's around for several decades still. Maybe I don't know how long we've established words live in this time period.
Several hundred
This
years.
world. Yeah, so she's the 14th Age is well established, and the Jade Spine Enterprises is this huge thing and all of that. Everything is going along don't want to say anything like, oh, it's like halfway through or whatever, but it is like significantly in there. And she passes it on to one of the people in the Jade Spine Enterprises. You know, they've been training under her. They've been probably mostly running the day-to-day business for many years at that point. I can't really see the Dame wanting to stay, you know, buried in the books in her old age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does Granny Jade Spine outlive Curie Jade Spine?
Yes.
Inexplicably, Granny Jade Spine is immortal now.
Granny Jade Spine was pitched to me first as Baba Yaga, the grandma.
Okay.
You pitched this to me.
I did.
Don't act surprised.
I always forget because it was like such a crazy idea.
Okay, so Rob, for the garden. Let's see. This was an iconic. No, this doesn't make sense.
Can I tie something together?
Go ahead.
All right, so I think I can do this quick. The Knights of the Lightning, what it turns out they were actually doing, it's not like they were killing demons just to be good guys. They were actually killing demons with lightning and using it to power their own invasion of a different world. The reason they're not around, or weren't around, is that they were actually powering up and leaving. And it was all about using interdimensional breakers, which are demons, to, like, you know, recruit and then kill and then jump somewhere else. So what happened instead of the Terrible Emperor coming back in the 14th age, the Knights of the Lightning's invasion failed, and they ended up getting rolled back into the Dragon Empire, and the Garden and the Grandmaster of Flowers organization had a war on its hands. So to basically keep the Ogre Magi from destroying basically anybody unprotected in the just outside the Dragon Empire, just on the borders. So I don't know. That's the iconic event. What does that mean? I forget Gar's terminology.
It's when like an icon changed, or when how do they describe it? An icon might arise or perish, be transformed or replaced, take direct action in the world, vanish, or be embroiled in scandal, intrigue, or weirdness.
Okay, so then I would just say, I'm going to go really, 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 really big picture.
Okay.
The war eventually ends when in the tradition of, like, Kor's dead long before, but there's a rumor, like the sort of the tradition heritage that the first Grandmaster of Flowers was half Ogre Magi, and there's an Ogre Magi Grandmaster of Flowers, and that ends it. So, like, it ends it probably for the better. Like, in the sense that the Ogre Magi are finally, like, beaten down, with probably the help of people like the Champion of the Stalwart Keeper, too.
Man, it's a whole new campaign.
Finally, Kor plays along with it. You know, Kor's legacy plays along with the rest of the group the way it was supposed to. So.
All right. Could we go back and explore the side factions? Yes. We have 15 minutes. Up to you guys. Or we could just go ahead and wrap up and call the campaign good.
I have to admit that is this the engineer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Clearly, Gwizzle. Gwizzle rules the 15th
there is a
age.
magic train.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
You know what? Yeah, let's go ahead, and we now know the 14th age is rough story. Enough that someone could run their own campaign in it. We have these interesting factions with their own independent forces, sometimes helping out each other, sometimes not. We have great threats that might fall and cause new calamities. We have demons roving the lands for young adventurers to face. We have ogre magi to face as a mid or high level threat. There's a whole campaign setting here for people. I think that's a job well done. I think we should wrap up and call it good.
All right.
Yeah, so I expect this published on my desk by next Monday, Rob.
Yeah, that's how publishing works.
Yep. That's exactly how it works. What are you talking about?
Rumham, for the very last time, what's something you liked, and what's something that you would what's a wish you would pass along to the 14th age?
And like everything was just so good. Like I could not pick one thing that I was like, yeah, this was cool. I liked this, because almost every session there was something that I liked, except when we spent all that time fighting those spiders. That was really gross. But yeah, I think overall, I will be happy to have my Mondays back, but also sad because the campaign's over. What was the second question?
A wish for the 14th age.
Oh yeah. I wish that Leanne and Kalia get caught in like a paparazzi like hand-holding scandal.
Saucy.
And that they have to use their combined iconic forces to stop it.
Ellen?
Oh man, this campaign has been so much fun. I mean, when we started, I hadn't played like tabletop since like a little bit, tiny bit in college. So this was really nice as a way to like get back into the hobby. And I wasn't really friends with a lot of you guys when we started either. It's been a long road, and it's been a lot of fun. Yeah. I hope to pass on to the 14th age. I'm gonna go for the joke and say no more living dungeons.
I don't know about that one.
That seems possible. Like with the death of the Stone Thief, the 14th age could just be living dungeon free.
I hope so.
All that energy gone.
Personally, I think living dungeons are a really cool aspect of the world, so I would hate to see them die.
They're so cool, but I at least hope that there aren't any of them big enough to be causing problems.
Yeah. Rob?
I love that you guys all wrote really detailed starts of the biography of my life as an icon. I think that was great. So that's really good. And I just want to say that all the other times you guys have talked about Raza and the Lizard King, I never figured out that it was a former player character.
Oh.
So it all becomes clear now, right? This is I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I get it. Okay. All right. And I think out of the things, I admit that the thing I'm probably going to remember by the end of the session is I wrote down the grind set, and I was like, yep. Sadly, that is in my head now. When Callie said that. Thank you.
What's your wish for the 14th age, Rob?
That somebody finally gives her the apple at the end she deserves.
Yeah, she really has just hung on,
Yeah.
and
She
she's
just
more
stayed
powerful than
along.
ever before now.
Stayed along, yeah.
Pout?
What I would like to know, I imagine the Diablos didn't actually do that much to this age. It's just everyone is unfairly attributing it to her. And she's just accepting it because why not? Why not be the bad guy? Dude, this campaign, it's been a long way coming. I didn't start as Leanne. I'm glad I swapped to her. It's been, frankly, very enjoyable. There's been a few low points, but hey, what campaign doesn't have some lows?
I can't believe it. I was aiming for 100% perfect every time.
3 weeks of filler, that did definitely drag a little bit.
Okay, look, it's not One Piece, all right?
So, at the end of the day, I'm glad that it ended, but at the same time, I'm not sure I wanted it to end. This was a good ending point for it, and everything should come to an end. But now it's a matter of finding something new. And that's the hard part.
As the great Ghoul often said, all things die.
I remember that quote from Hotline Miami, too.
What's your wish for the 14th age?
My wish for the 14th age. I wish for someone else, whether it be someone who takes this world on its own, into their own light. I wish that they suffer from making up bullshit, dumb as fuck laws like I did.
Yeah, if anyone ever plays, for some reason, in this weird 14th age that we just invented, let us know. Max?
Well, it's been a fun time. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me. And it was my first campaign ever. It ended up being a super long one. Oh my god! I learned a lot. I learned what my favorite retcon was at the water seeping in was like lava or something, and then the next section we started, we're like, yeah, that's gonna make this fight too hard.
Yeah, no,
You guys remember that?
no, it was retconned in a way, it was different in that way. It was acid water that was the adventurers lying, and I knew that they were lying, but a certain player, who isn't here anymore, opened their mouth so fast that I didn't feel like I could bluff that we did know it was a lie. And it was retconned that actually being acid water.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I just remember that. And my advice for 14th age is people should just put like a bounty or like a carcass tag for all face fighters.
Oh, yeah.
They're hunted until extinction. And hopefully one day people will be born in a world without face fighters.
I think that's the best wish all of us can give. A world without face fighters.
I second third and fourth that.
I thank you all for joining me on the first time I've ever run 13th Age. I've learned a lot across these past few years, and now here we are playing with someone who helped make it. So, a lot changes across the years. It's been a lot of fun. I'm gonna really miss making dumb boss fight encounters and mechanics and then testing them out. But, it was time to move on.
For all of our viewers watching, there is more 13th Age goodness on Thursdays. You can check out Pelgrane Press's new 13th Age stream on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're very excited to have them.
Yeah, thanks. I was gonna say it.
I'm sorry.
You just
I scooped you.
you scooped me.
On the rest of us, well, who knows where we'll go.
If you ever need to reach out to us here at the Splitting Dragon Empire stream, you may fish up an eel, split its guts, wrap it around your neck, plant a flower, pluck the third most petal on the flower, and whisper your message into it, and it will find its way to our ears.
Or use our Discord.
I mean, if you want to be easy about it.
Not me though. I'm the fourth most pedal because I got tired of getting called when everybody else got called, so I changed my number.
Your pedal.
Counterclockwise for a pedal is necessarily mine.
Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining us. For those who are watching on YouTube in a month from when we're recording this, thank you for joining us for that finale as well. And look forward to new projects coming up in the future.
Yeah.
For the last time, it's been a pleasure. Good night.
Thanks, Cody. Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all.
So fun.